everyone, and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Megan, and I'm here with another library book haul prediction reveal video. And now we'll jump right into it to talk about these library books. Plus one. So, mystery library book. But let's jump right into it. The first book that I read was Half Bads in White Regalia by Cody Anto. This is the cover of it. This was my first Canada Reads of 2023, and I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. 4 stars. The memoir was great. He had a really hard life, but reading it and like realizing that you're like, oh, he didn't really realize he had a hard life. He was just living his life as a kid, and he was like, this is it. This is what I know. So it was really cool to read that, like have that aspect to it, and then this took place in Ontario, not near me, but like we grew up in the same. He's around the same age as I am, and he grew up in around the same kind of places that I've been to. So it was like a nostalgia hit for me when he mentioned some of the places that he's been to, and I was like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, okay, yeah. So it was really I connected with me personally that way. But as for the memoir, it was really, it was a funny read too. Like, he had nicknames for some of the people in his life, and I thought it was just really, really interesting to read. So I'd highly recommend this one. I mean, it's not going to hit with everybody, but I really liked it. And it was short, so, and the chapters were also really short, so it was really like, you got through it really quickly. The next book I read was Interior Chinatown by Charles Yu. This book really wowed me. I rated it 4 stars, but I think I might change it to 5 stars because it stuck with me. And I'm like, I don't even know how I'm going to try and describe to you what this was about, because it's like, woof. Because the way he bridged the like Asian stereotypes in Hollywood was so good, because it was like you knew about it, but you didn't think about it, but then he pointed it out, and you're like, yeah, that's true. And it was so, like, well thought out, and the way he executed it, like, it was in a movie script, so it was, like, all these different layers. It was so well done. I highly recommend this, because it's, like, you don't think about these types of things until you're, like, really reading it and thinking about it, and you're like, wow, that's so true, because, like, his main focus, like, his main character was so dead set on being an actor, and he wanted to be, and the highest he thought he could be was Kung Fu Man, because of being an Asian person. He's like, that's the highest, like, kind of role you can get, and he spends his whole life trying to be this one character, and then you've got other characters who are like, hey buddy, like, maybe you could be more than that, and then, like, they're talking in their own stereotypes. So you've got black guy, white girl, like, it's just so, I don't know, it was just so well put together, and my words are not doing it justice. I'd highly recommend this book, and I mean, like I say, it's told in script format, so it's so easy to get through, and so just like there's not much, like, you fly through this, and it's just so well done, so creative, so, like, outside the box thinking. Like, I loved this, so I think I'm going to change my rating to 5 stars. The next book I read was City of Bastards by Andrew Schwartz. This is book number 2 in the Royal Bastards trilogy. I really enjoyed this. I rated it 4 stars. I mean, it didn't fall victim to second book syndrome, so that's good. And it wasn't also set up for the next novel, which is kind of what the second book is usually made for. It's like, okay, you had your first novel, okay, the second novel is like, build up to what's gonna come. This actually had its own, like, separate plot, and, like, it was just really, and, like, he kind of, like I say, he bridged how, like, the first book ended into, like, its own plot, and then, like, it's ended, but, I mean, the battle has been won. No, the battle was lost, but the war is still continuing. Is that the saying? You win the battle, lose the war, you know what I mean. So the battle, they didn't win did they win the battle? No, I'm confusing myself. Anyways, the war is still continuing, and no, they lost the battle. They lost the battle, but the war is continuing, and so you know the next book, everything is going to come full head, and I'm waiting for it, because this has been a really fun read, and it's so fast-paced, too, that I'm just like, ooh, what's gonna happen? Because there was like so much like betrayal and stuff that's happening, because it's like, oh, you thought this was gonna happen, but oh, nope. So it's really interesting. I can't wait. I know, I didn't do that justice, but it's okay. I'm not gonna do the next one justice either. I read a lot of like really complicated and complex books this month, or the last couple weeks. This one is called The Arsonist by Stephanie Oakes. I rated this 4 stars, but I think it's more of a 3.5. This book, I mean, she was thick, but she was fast paced, so I give her that. But there was just so much going on, and this was told, the way this was told was really interesting, because it was like through letters, essays, and diary entries. So I was like, oh, okay. But I mean, it wasn't like true to that, because like all of them were written in prose, so it was like, it still felt like you were reading a novel. It didn't feel like you were reading someone's essay or someone's diary entry. It really felt like you were reading a novel. But this follows 2 main characters, and they're looking for answers. Like this one girl, she's like, oh, my mom, she's like, I don't believe my mom is dead. I want to look for her. Her father is going to be executed and killed because he's been starting fires. And then the second main character finds out that her father, the one that's being executed, helped save his life. So they're bonded in this weird way. So he's like, I'll help you, but he's like, I don't believe your mother's actually alive. So those 2 end up on a journey, but then there's a third character who, at first I'm like, I don't feel like this person means anything, but I mean, it has to mean something. But then she's also related. And I'm back. Sorry I had to cut that off really quickly while I was in the middle of talking about this book. So yeah, so there's a third point of view, who then kind of bridges the gap between those 2, the 2 main characters, and then like they don't realize, and I guess she's like the missing link to how they're both connected in this weird way. And I mean, for the most part, I enjoyed it because I was like, ooh, this is a really cool mystery. But I'm like, it didn't feel very plausible, because I'm like, who anonymously gives 2 teens tickets to, they live in LA, or they live in California, who gives 2 kids, like they're 17, plane tickets to go to Berlin to find out, to solve these mysteries? Like, I was like, no one does that. It's so weird. They're like, oh, this is so that you can find out for yourself. We're not going to tell you. You have to go and figure it out. And I'm like, nah, this doesn't read right. It was really weird. So that's why I'm like, nah, it's maybe more of a 3.5. And then the secondary characters, they were very much used for, they weren't like developed or anything, because they were just there for the plot to move. And I was like, you're boring. Like, okay, what kind of adult are you? Like, this makes no sense. So that was this one, if you caught any of my weird ramblings. The next book I read was Gleanings by Neil Shusterman. I rated this 4 stars. This is part of the Arc of a Scythe trilogy. These are short stories told within the Arc of a Scythe trilogy, in the world of the Scythe Kingdom, and it took on points of view of, so you had people that might have already been in the trilogy, worlds that were kind of touched upon in the trilogy, and like it really just brought this, like it enriched it and gave it so much more than what, not so much as like what was there, but like that didn't make any sense. But like it really just enriched the world, and it gave us more of a backstory than what we had before. And I mean, his writing was just as good as it was before. Some of these stories were co-written by other authors and his children, which I thought was really cool. And so I highly recommend this if you've already read the trilogy, because this really just gives it like that much more to the trilogy, and it just made me love it. And I would love to read so many more short stories in this world, because I just love it. I love being in this world. It's like probably one of my favorites. The last book that I read, that I didn't talk about in my other video because it hadn't arrived yet, but that is this one, and that is Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Deo. This is the first book in this trilogy. The trilogy is called A Rise of the Empress novel. Nope, A Rise of the Empress. No novel, just A Rise of the Empress. I rated it 3 stars. It was a good start to a trilogy. I didn't like the pacing that much because I thought it was like slow, then all of a sudden it was fast, and then it was slow, and then it ended, and I was like, oh, okay. So I just was like, this is interesting. I don't know if I cared so much for Shufeng, I think that's her name. Oh no, Shifeng, sorry, her name was Shifeng. I don't know if I cared for her so much as a main character. I don't know, she was very wishy-washy, so I was like, oh, okay, do I believe her, do I not believe her, is she evil, is she not evil, like, I feel like she's very gray, so I'm like, she's interesting. I mean, I think I want a little more from her, and I'm wondering if maybe in the next novel, now that she's kind of ruthlessly gotten to where she wants to be, I'm like, maybe it'll be more interesting, I don't know, we'll see. So that was this one. It was 3 stars. It was fast paced and I really enjoyed it. So those were my last 6 library books this time. So if you've read any of these, let me know because I'd love to know your thoughts on them. But that is all I have for you guys today. So if you want to give this, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, a comment, a do your thing, and I'll see you guys in my next video. So thanks and bye guys!